Good morning. Good morning. Listen, I am so excited to be with you on today. It's Friday. Many of you have been waiting for the weekend, and what a week we have had. I tell you, this has been one of the longest weeks. Um, 2020 was one of the longest years, but now we've experienced one of the longest weeks, the first full week of the new year. And it has been eventful to say the least. But God is still God. And God is still good. God has been good to you. I pray that your families have been blessed. I know that there has probably been some challenges and some tests. You've made some New Year resolutions. You said that this year was going to be one of the best years of your life, and you've already been faced with some of the greatest challenges of your life. Many of you have been praying for loved ones to survive the coronavirus or other illnesses and ailments. And God is still letting us know that He's on the throne. Why? Because miracles are happening every day. Just like there's bad news in the media every day, there's still some good news. It's not always thrown right in front of our face, but it's there. Someone asked me yesterday, why am I going live every day? Why are you doing it every day? And I told them, I said, well, there are people who need some inspiration. They need a jump start every single morning. I tell you, I do. You may not need it, but I need it every morning. I need to get before God. I need to hear what God is saying for my life because there's so many other people. People think that they have the answer to what it is that you're facing and what you're going through. They think they have the answer. Now, I'm not talking about those who will pray with you and try to share with you perhaps what God is sharing with them through the word. God gives us prayer partners, people to help us navigate this thing called life. But then there are some who they think that they are the experts and they want to tell you what you need. You look at Job and his friends. Job's friends, they accused him of doing something sinful as to the reason why he was in the predicament that he was in. They didn't have the answers and they were just doing what friends do, right? They mean well, but sometimes they don't always say what is well. But in the mornings, I come on here to give you not my opinion, but to give you my biblical insight on whatever passage God has taken me to. And it's to help jumpstart your day. It's to help you go about your day. And hopefully something will stick with you, not just for the remainder of the day, but for the remainder of the week. Today, I want to talk about this thought of there, that doesn't matter anymore. That's the thought I want to use for today. That doesn't matter anymore. It's up to you to surmise what the that is. The that, what is your that? That is what you're able to put your attention on to say that that does not matter anymore. I don't know what it is for you. I know what it is for me, but I'm going to share to you what God has given me. I want to look at a passage of scripture, Philippians 3, verse 13. Philippians 3, verse 13. I'm reading from the Common English Bible. It reads like this: Brothers and sisters, I myself, this is Paul writing to the church at Philippi. He says, brothers and sisters, I myself don't think I've reached it, but I do this one thing. I forget about the things behind me and reach out for the things ahead of me. He says that he does not think that he's reached it, but I do this one thing. I forget about the things behind me and I reach out for the things ahead of me. I'll never forget um, this mother, single parent mother. She was with her son, and the son was playing with the toy uh, outside, playing with his toy by himself, using his imagination, something that we don't see kids doing a lot today because of the technological advancements. But this young man, he's playing with this toy, one of his favorite toys at that. Uh, and when it was time for him to leave with his mom, The mother comes and grabs him after he's had just this wonderful day playing by himself with this toy. And when she came and grabbed him, he left his toy on the ground, and his mother noticed it. And so she asked him, she said, "Why are you leaving your toy? This is your favorite toy, and you're leaving it on the ground." You can imagine what this mother is thinking is, and she's the one who probably purchased the toy. And now you're going to leave it behind? And she asked him, she said, "Don't you want your toy?" And he looked at his mother and he said, just like that. She said, "Boy, you better talk. Don't you want your toy?" And he looked at her again and he said, "No." Well, that young lad who I'm speaking of was none other than the fellow who's talking to you on today. I had this toy of mine, a G.I. Joe action figure. I'm dating myself, I know. But playing with this toy, after about a couple of hours, one of the arms broke off. The next thing you know, a leg broke, and I no longer wanted it. And so when my mother asked me, did I want the toy? I told her, no, I don't want it, uh, because it's broken. And I want to tell someone who's listening this morning that some of you, uh, it may not have been a toy, but maybe there was something that you were holding on to. Maybe it was a relationship. Maybe it was an idea, a thought, a mistake that you made in your past. And here it is, you've been holding on to something that was utterly breaking you, and you've been trying to take it with you into your future. I want to tell you, it's hard to move forward when you're holding on to something that's broken. It's hard to move forward when you're holding on to what was, and God is trying to take you to what is. You see, a victorious life is a forward living life. A victorious life is a forward lived life. You don't live in what was behind you. You don't live in your past. You don't live at where you once used to live and used to dwell. You got to learn to live in this life that is now a forward lived life. Paul understood this, and so he tells the church at Philippi, he says, "Yes, I have not, I don't believe that I've made it. I don't believe that I have arrived. I don't believe that I'm at the pinnacle of my destiny. I don't believe I'm at the apex. But what I do believe is this, that whatever was behind me, it's not as valuable as what's in front of me." And some of you listening on this morning, it's been hard for you to move forward. Maybe you lost a loved one in 2020. I lost my grandfather, who was the patriarch of our family here. And I tell you, that was one of the hardest blows because he was someone who I thought would live forever. But one of the things that I heard God tell me is that I had to move forward. If I'm going to live a victorious life, I got to live a forward lived life. But see, it's hard to move forward when you have invested so much into what was behind you. And many of you, you're telling me, well, I made some investments in it, in what was behind me, because I believed in it. But I want to tell you, as you mature in the things of God, as God is moving you forward, there's a moment in your life where you reach something what some people call a turning point. Paul reached a turning point in his life. Paul, if you look at his life that he lived pre Christ follower, he was someone who persecuted Christians. He was someone who did some heinous things. He did things that we couldn't even imagine. People were afraid of Paul. But Paul reached a turning point. When Jesus came into his life, he realized that even the Judaistic laws that he was following, the rituals, all of those things that were behind him, they were good for a moment in time. But what's in front of him now is better than what was behind him. And I want to tell somebody right now who's listening, someone who's watching on this morning, you've been trying to go back, not even into 2020, you've been trying to go back to 2015. And God is saying, no, I got something great in store for you. Whatever is in front of you, listen, it's greater than what was behind you. And you see, you got to know when the devil is in the mix, because the devil is the one that tries to keep us from moving forward. You see, we walk where God is leading us, not where the devil is pulling us. The God is always guiding. God leads us. The devil is always pulling on us. And when something is pulling you back. God doesn't pull you forward. You may be saying, well, doesn't God pull us forward? No. God will lead you, He will guide you, but He will never tug on you and pull you forward. He's just going to guide you. You have to make it up in your mind that I'm going to walk forward. You see, when God is leading you and not your flesh, you begin to walk into all the things that God has in store for you. But this is the caveat: you got to invest in where you're going and not where you were. Let me say it again. You have to invest in where you are going and not where you were. Invest in where you're going. Today is going to be a wonderful day for some of you. Why? Because listening to me on this morning, you're making an investment into where it is God is taking you. Jesus talked about this. Jesus talked about this in Luke chapter 9. In Luke chapter 9, he says, no one having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom. I want to transliterate that and tell you in a different way, because you got to understand what was happening back in Jesus' day. Those who would plow in the fields, if they were holding on to the plow, if they were to look back, it was utterly detrimental to their future. It was detrimental to their life. And Jesus is saying that for us, for someone who has their hand to the plow, to the hand to that which God has purposed us to do. But while we're doing this, while we're trying to do what God has called us to, we're still looking back. He's saying that that's detrimental to your future. You are no good to yourself or anybody else if you continue to look back. Why? Because it's dangerous. It's dangerous to walk looking backwards. It's dangerous to go walk down the street, but yet you're looking at what's behind you. It's dangerous to drive your car while instead of looking through the windshield, you're looking in the rearview mirror. That is utterly dangerous. And my friends, I just want to let you know that God is trying to prepare you for what He has in store for you. But you got to learn to know that whatever that was, whether it was a ritual, whether it was uh, some bad ideology, whatever it was, bad theology, whatever that was, you have to make up in your mind that that doesn't matter anymore. What matters now is that God is taking you somewhere great, and He has something great in store for you. The children of Israel, they had the same issue. And God told Moses, He said, tell them to go forward. You don't believe me? When you get a chance, look at Exodus 14. Exodus chapter 14, verse 15. It says that God told Moses to tell the children of Israel to go forward. Why not backwards? Because if they were to go backwards, they were to go back to a place of bondage, back to a place where God only wanted them to be temporarily. But it wasn't where He wanted them to live and dwell. Where you were prior to that moment and that turning point in your life, yes, God allowed you to be there for that moment, but that's not where He wanted you to live. We experienced something great in 2020. What an unusual year. But God is not expecting us to stay in 2020. Some of us, yes, the calendar says 2021, but some people are still living in what was back in 2020. My friends, let's move forward. Let's do what God has called us to do. And I believe you're going to have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful year. Listen, if you want to be a blessing to this ministry, please go ahead and be a blessing to Beyond the Brick Ministries. We're getting ready to do something wonderful on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday weekend, and we can't do it without your help. Uh, COVID-19 has revealed so much about the church and so much about its essentiality. The church is essential. And here it is, when no one else was able to feed the community, when there was this food desert, churches stepped up all over the world, not just here in America, but all over the world. Ministry stepped up, nonprofits, just like Beyond the Brick Ministries. God has called us to the least, the last, the lost, and the little, and we have purpose to make sure that we are about our Father's business. Listen, pre-COVID, there were some things that you did, there were some things that I did. They weren't bad, but they were a pre-COVID culture. We don't know yet what this post-COVID culture is going to be, but I want to prepare you for it. Whatever it is that God has in store for us post-pandemic, I guarantee you it's going to be greater than whatever it was pre-pandemic. Why? Because we serve a God who's always moving forward, and what's ahead, like the songwriter said, is better than what was. Have a wonderful day, and I want to pray with you before we go. Gracious, kind, and merciful God, I thank you for everyone who tuned in on today. I pray, God, that you would guide them, lead them into all truth, lead them into their destinies, and so much so that they understand that whatever it was that was behind them, whatever it is that's pulling on them, tugging them, trying to get them back into a lifestyle, back into some habits, back into bad ideologies and theologies, and back to a place where you didn't intend for them to stay. I pray, God, that you remind them that you have already destined for them to move forward in the things of God. And I pray that this day will be one of the best days of their life, and that's setting them up for the rest of their life. Anoint them afresh. Someone who has a doctor visit, someone who's praying for a loved one, someone who's expecting you to do something great in their life. God, I'm asking you to do it, and I pray that you get the glory. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen. Have a wonderful day. Listen, I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. The devil may not want me on here every day, but I'm going to come on here Monday through Friday to bless you, to inspire you, to jumpstart your day. And I believe that you're going to have a magnificent day because you serve a magnificent God. Better yet, we serve an unconventional God. You can't relegate God and put God in a box. God is greater than the box. He's greater than your problem. He's greater than anything that we can even try to make synonymous to God. God is greater. Peace out. I love you guys.